Good morning, everyone. The time is now, well, for me, it's 11 o'clock.
For me, it's 10 a.m.
I'm Quinn M,
I'm Quinn G.
and welcome back to Quinn Squared at Home. I
I
don't, I don't know if there's like an official name for what we're calling
oh
this.
yeah, I this is like this is the third new name we've come up with. I think we should just come up with like a new name each time because I think last one was like Quinn Squared Extreme 2
Something like
Plus or
that.
whatever. And then the first
Okay.
the first one was like Quinn Squared Revival, and now it's Quinn Squared at Home.
Welcome back to Quinn Squared at
Just
Home.
let's just have it be like whatever first comes to mind.
Sure, I can make up something every month. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
All right, well, we're
Um,
back for another.
yes. So I want to point something out real quick. I
Yeah.
think this is the first time we are actually recording this in the morning.
This is true, and there's a
Good
good reason for
morning.
that. There is a good
Yeah.
reason for that because it's the first of the month, so wake up, it's the first of the month.
Wake
Uh,
up, wake up. Yes.
but because I also work this evening, and
I figured that's what the reason was. I didn't ask, but I
I
just
work.
figured
Well,
that
I
was
mean,
the
I work
reason.
weekends, so
Yeah.
today is a Saturday, so that
It
is
is
a
a Saturday.
weekend. But
Yes.
it works for me. Recording in the morning, not a problem. But you all know if you've seen the last few episodes, which I know everyone has,
Everyone
right?
has.
Uh,
Everyone has. I don't even think we need to do an introduction anymore because people are just like instantly, "Oh yes, it's the Quins, my go-to source for video game discussion and news."
oh, absolutely. So we're gonna,
Yes.
just recap what we've been doing throughout the month of July. We got some news to talk about. We got some real life stuff, and what have we been watching? What have we been listening to? What have we been reading? And what have we been playing?
Yes.
Anything else I need to mention before we get started?
Uh, no, I think we're good to go just right into it.
Awesome. Well, I guess, in terms of video game news, there hasn't been too much, but a lot
There's
of the
been
big
yeah,
discourse I've seen, at least, has been around PlayStation's uh, decision to cease production on physical games.
yes. And I do we did talk about this last month, I'm pretty
Correct.
sure,
We
but it
did.
is still an ongoing issue, and I just think more and more people have come out to kind of clown on it and also
Hmm.
just kind of reflect on how much games have changed as a medium where even something like this is considered viable for a studio, for a major studio like
Yeah,
um
and a lot of the big stuff I've seen is, I'm not on Twitter, but I watch YouTube, and there's a lot of discourse about how Twitter is still absolutely ratioing uh, PlayStation on Twitter.
yeah,
No matter what the
yes.
announcement is, all the comments are just ratioing the
I,
likes to it.
it a good way to describe it, even though it's not political at all, it is a very nonpartisan issue where it's like everyone is, no, this sucks.
Hmm.
I'm sure there's a few defenders through there, but then they also get ratioed and whatever, blown to bits.
There's
But
that, but
it's
then recently, I mean, as in yesterday, uh,
oh, okay.
Sony, I don't know if you saw this. Sony did kind of make a statement where they said they're going to continue moving forward without producing physical discs.
Yeah.
So, nothing's going to change. So we'll see
I
what
yeah,
happens there.
I didn't I honestly I didn't feel like how vitriolic it would be right now that it would make a difference because when it comes to like a big studio like Sony making such a gargantuan decision like that, they're not going to walk back on it so quickly.
Hmm.
You're going to have to give it time, and if people don't put their money where their mouth is and support the new PlayStation, that's when they would have to reconsider.
Hmm.
Like right now, like I don't know, this is probably years out, but I have zero desire to get a PlayStation 6.
Oh yeah, we probably won't
And
for a while at least, because
no, not
I'll
for
be
a long
honest,
time.
I have
And
not used my PlayStation. I'm looking at it right now. I haven't actually played anything on my PlayStation since we did Split Fiction last year.
oh dang.
Yeah. which was about April last year. That is about
Yeah.
to change soon. We'll get to that in a second, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kinda go
genuinely,
in I definitely go in waves as to what I focus on. So, like, right
mhm,
now, I have been playing PlayStation, but then I look at my Switch and I'm like, haven't touched that since Deltarune.
okay.
My Xbox One, that's been a movie watching system for quite a while now. And I wanna get back to my GameCube, but,
Mhm,
like, at some point. But
that's
yeah,
fair.
yeah, no, I see what you mean.
So it's definitely
Um,
not a priority, but
yeah.
again, I'll talk about that in a second. But
Well, it's
I mean, yeah, it still sucks that this is even
yeah.
a thing.
Well, I was just gonna say, I can sleep soundly with a lot of these systems because I know I can just at any time go back to play them with my physical disc.
That's so fair. And physical media is cool, and it also means you get to, it is yours. There,
Yes.
it's not because the big argument is, especially with the stop killing games movement
Yeah.
happening around the same time, is you should be able to own what you pay for, and
Yeah.
corporations should not be able to take that away from you,
Mhm.
uh, because you've paid for it, which I
Yes.
don't think is unreasonable of an ask. I think that's a very reasonable thing to ask.
Yes.
But
I
yeah, that's my 2 cents.
mhm. Yeah, nothing much else has changed about that, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
If another thing comes up about it at some point, we'll talk about it.
Sure.
But the other gaming news that came out this last few weeks, Microsoft continues to shoot itself in the foot, this time with a shotgun. It I don't know if you had heard, but there was another stream of massive layoffs to the company. In
Okay.
fact, it would have been the highest like single firing in the games industry in history if they didn't taper it out between a few days. So it was like one day it was like 1,500 people. 2 days later it was another 1,500 people.
Wow.
But it's not like that they decided the next day is like, oh, let's fire this next set of people. It's like no, they were doing that from the start. They just
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to make it seem so bad, so they tapered it out. Um, and what this has resulted in is a number of studios getting like let go from Microsoft, not shut down, but like no longer being on their payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these include Double Fine,
Double
Arcane.
Fine?
Yeah, Double Fine's no longer
Really?
getting Microsoft funding. Arcane, I believe.
I
Well,
thought
yeah,
I
Arcane was
thought
on their
Arcane
payroll.
already was gone
No,
because
they're still around.
okay.
But no, they so they're no longer on their payroll. The people Tango Gameworks, the people behind Evil Within and Hi-Fi Rush,
Yeah.
and just like you can look up a whole list, but there's just a bunch of people like they haven't shut down these studios, but there's like, yeah, we're no longer giving you guys money, and we've also just fired a lot of the people that kind of worked both with us and maybe with you guys. Oh, id Software had to had to fire 50% of its staff.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of these game companies, like well-loved game companies, are hurting. And an argument I've seen brought up on like podcasts and just like people I follow is that like when you do firings like this, like we've been seeing for the past like 7 years or so, you lose a lot of the veteran talent that you
Mm-hmm.
had. And so when you get new people in, you don't have the veterans there to teach people how to do certain things. So it's like you're starting over from scratch.
Yeah.
And that's one potential reason why you get a lot of issues with big modern games nowadays is like, yeah, you're getting in fresh faced people to do things that you should have veterans on for at least as well. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I watched a video talking about, why games take so long to make now.
Yeah.
That, games that in theory, like when you play them, you're like, this took 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is because of what you're saying. These bigger studios, a lot of the older talent is leaving, and so now it's a lot of new talent. But that and also has to be through committee. It cannot the executives do not trust. Doesn't seem like they trust their teams to actually do what they want and have a good um, vision for the game, so everything
Yeah.
has to be run through committee. Which, and I've been saying this
It-
forever, but I'm going to keep saying this. The more when you try to make a game for everyone, which is what they're doing, you end up making a
yeah.
game for no one because it
It's
appeals to no one.
Yeah, it's shareholders who don't have a strong idea on game development. Maybe some of them do, but they're just like, but what if we tailor to this market
Hmm.
as well? Because then they would buy it, and then that means more money for us.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. It's a whole ordeal,
yeah,
but
like
we'll see what
I just
happens.
yeah, it's the game industry is a lot more tailored to shareholder stuff like that, big business compared to in the past when it was a bit more loosey goosey,
Yeah.
which also had its own set of problems, but you at least made things that people liked.
Hmm.
But I've sworn off Microsoft a number of times now, but this is just like, yeah, I'm glad I am not like quote unquote loyal to them
Sure.
anymore, even though I haven't been like, let's say, quote unquote loyal to them in like a decade. Um, but I love the 360, and I won't I'll argue that's a good console. But
Yeah.
everything else after that, what are we doing?
Yeah. See, I had a 360. That's where I did the original Arkham trilogy when I first started getting into games.
Mm,
But for me, I've never seen a point in getting an Xbox because all of their stuff is on PC or on Steam anyway. So it's,
mm-hmm.
like, what's the point? The reason I have a PlayStation is because there are some exclusives that are on there that I can't play that I would like
Yeah.
to play. So that one, I feel like
Mhm.
I have a little bit more of an excuse. Same thing with the Nintendo Switch, and that is also
Well,
because
yeah.
it's portable. But an
Yes.
Xbox, I've never seen a reason to get it personally.
No, I don't. I wouldn't know why you would want to get one.
Hmm. But that's, I think, anything else you want to add about this real
Uh,
world stuff?
Games, we're in a crash. I think
Yeah.
we've said that a few times. It's not like we're waiting for a gaming crash. We are in it right now.
Hmm.
It just won't be to the level of the original one where like the whole industry was like kaput.
Yeah.
But big studios will have to revitalize themselves and look at to what they are making. There was actually, you probably haven't seen it, but there was a Nakey Jakey video about Microsoft recently, like a few days ago, and he had a good discussion on just like obviously what Microsoft is doing is really crappy, but there is a chance for them to kind of revitalize themselves if they do some things that he suggests in the video.
Okay. See, I've
Would
not
be
seen
worth a
this,
watch because
but
I know you like his
I'm
content.
looking at it right now. Will Xbox ever recover?
Yes.
Question mark. I
Yes,
will
that's the one.
put
That's the
that on
one.
my watch later list then.
There we go. Alrighty, yeah, I think that's it in terms of news.
Absolutely. Well, now let's kind of jump into some real world stuff, like what we've been doing this past month. I'll be honest, for me, it's been kind of a quiet month.
Hmm.
All things considered, but I did have some fun stuff that happened. Work related stuff. I worked overnights on a whole week. So
Yay.
what that is a midnight to 9 a.m. shift. Uh,
Some
Now,
say the graveyard
some
shift.
would some would say the graveyard shift. Jacob Pierce is listening to this, so he would for sure say the graveyard shift.
Yes.
But I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I think actually the workload itself was not too bad. I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed uh, being in a quieter environment and kind of being left alone by people, left to do my own thing. The other people I was working with on the morning show or this morning shift was really great. Like they were great people,
Hmm.
and some of the better people in the company I work for. I admit.
Yeah.
The thing I did not like is the obvious thing: the hours. uh,
Yes.
not really a big shock, but yeah, the whole week I in my phone it was just labeled as goal survive because that's pretty much all I did. I went to work at midnight. I got off work, I went to the gym, and I fell asleep until the afternoon. I did some stuff pretty like some stuff we'll talk about in a second, but pretty much I didn't leave my apartment, and then I tried to go back to sleep, and then I repeated all of that for 3 days. So it was very much just, hey, the goal is we're gonna survive, but we
Yeah.
made it past it, and it I actually have to do it towards the end of this month, which is fine because I can do it. It's just whatever.
Yeah, it's just not ideal because humans should not be operating during those hours,
No, they should
in
see.
my opinion.
Well, if I like permanently, if my sleep schedule was flipped and more adjusted to that, yeah, it'd be no problem. But I'm just filling in for a few days, so it was a little
Then
bit
you'd be a night walker.
a night
Everyone would be like,
walker.
"Yeah, that's Quinn the Night Walker.
Oh yeah, they would
He
call me
only
that.
wakes up at night."
They call me that. Yeah, they do call me that. But
Yes.
that
That's what would happen, so,
yeah.
like, I understand that is how some people operate,
hmm
I knew someone, that used to be their schedule too, but it is, like, long term, I don't think anyone wants that long term.
No, not at all. But it was definitely an experience, and I appreciate the people I worked with on that
Yeah, there we go.
shift. Past that, I have two quick ones. One, I got a new tattoo. I
Yay.
got Ishin the Sword Saint on my right calf, and he looks phenomenal. And I'm going
He
to
does
get.
look really cool.
He looks like Ishin, but he basically just looks like Ishin. So
Yes.
trust that. And
Yeah.
I think towards the end of this month, I'm going to try to get that next tattoo, the Great Wave off Kangawa, on my.
Oh, yes, yes. No, I remember you had mentioned that a while back.
Yeah,
I
this
forgot you were
is
still
the
doing
next
that.
one. Yeah, so that I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to get, and then past that, I don't know. All right, so now let's get to the last thing I want to talk about, which is this new look. So I kind of did something because I kind of been wanting to do it, and I just kind of went through and did it. So I sent it to Quinn. Uh,
Oh, right, yeah, here. I have my phone next to me.
you're good. I
Alright, let
sent
me
it to
check,
him.
let me see.
It's been a year since I've done this.
Oh! Okay, okay.
So, for those who don't know, I cut all my hair off and then
Yeah.
shaved my mustache for the first time in maybe a year.
Yeah, that's a throwback.
It is a throwback, and I've just kind of been wanting to do it because, uh, I have changed
Yeah.
physically over the last year, mostly just like I've gained a lot of muscle, so I think it looks a little better. And then
Mm.
I have mixed feelings because I pretty much shaved this an hour ago.
Oh,
So it's
jeez.
still
Okay, so this is
very
very
recent.
fresh decision.
Uh, it's a decision I've had in the back of my mind for the last 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
I kind of just did it today. I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I did it. It's out of my head. I finally did it.
Yeah.
But I look 5. I do
That
look like a young child.
that is the issue that I'm like, yeah, I don't wanna cut my mustache anytime soon because 'cause I'm just like, I don't wanna look like how I looked, like, not that long ago,
Yeah.
but I get that, but I do respect the decision.
hmm So we're just gonna, and worst case scenario, I can always grow it back. It's
Yeah, you just
it's
grow it back, so
it's facial hair we live, but
yeah,
yeah, that's
it comes in spades.
it does. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna be rocking for the next little while, because we'll get to why I did this in later in this episode, but
Mhm.
that's why. But yeah, this is new. It feels
Yeah,
weird, but it's here.
I would imagine it does.
hmm Yeah, it's been there for about a year at this point, so this is very new.
Mhm.
But that's what's been going on in my real world stuff. Quinn, I know you went on a big trip.
Uh, yeah. So like this month's for the most part was centered around that trip. I had my birthday at the start of the month, kind of low key one, but it had some fun things come out of it. And then like just a few days later, I went to New York City.
Yippee!
Hooray!
City that
Big, big.
never sleeps.
It does in fact never sleep. It does start to like get a little sleepy, but you always see a lot of people. Um this was a sorry. Actually, one thing real quick.
Sure.
I have someone revving their engines right outside my window. I was just curious if that's coming up at all.
It was not, no.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to point that out.
You're good.
Uh, anyways, um, Yeah, this is a trip I had been planning for a bit because I have two friends who are very worldly people that are always trying to get people from South Dakota to go on trips with them, and they go like all over the world. Right now, they are in South Korea and going to Vietnam here soon enough.
Really?
Yes, they're going to
Okay.
a Vietnamese wedding.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So that's a
Because
lot.
they
That is a
knew
lot of
someone who
travel.
knew
Yeah.
someone that was getting married, and they were like, "Sure, yeah, you guys can come with."
Wow. What travel?
Yeah, and they have
Wow.
no personal connection to anyone getting married.
So how do you pay for all this?
Well, I so the ticket was the big thing, and that was a generous gift by my mom as a
Okay.
graduation gift.
Aw.
So that yes, that was very nice. I was willing to just uh, pay out of pocket, obviously. Like for me right now, money doesn't matter in the sense of like trips like that
Mm-hmm.
as much. Because I want to do some traveling, but
Sure.
like yeah, that's how that was paid for, and then obviously, well, I guess not obviously, but they let us stay there rent free, so that saved us a lot of money as well.
Okay.
Um, and so I'll just kind of go through the broad strokes because
Sure.
I'm sure it's not always fun to hear other people's vacations. But yeah, New York is a lot. There's a lot of different things. We never had any issue while we were there. Biggest issue we did have is when I messaged you where we had to our flight got canceled.
Yes.
Everyone's flight got canceled because of weather, and so we had to stay an extra day and a half in New York, and we were all like, "Oh no, we have to stay in one of the greatest cities in the world for an extra day and a half.
Oh
Oh
no, my
no."
steak is too juicy.
Exactly. Exactly. So it was like that was our biggest issue and it was a non-issue. So,
Sure.
um but yeah, while we were there, we went to a lot of museums, saw some very famous paintings, just other creative art. We went Friday night there, we went to a rave, a
Really? Okay.
proper club, a proper New York club, that my friends helped us get into pretty cheap. And this is the type of club you don't even think about going there until like after 11 p.m. because no one's
Okay.
gonna be there.
Sure.
So we got there at 12:30 a.m.
Oh wow. I
and
was
we
probably
didn't
just getting
leave.
to work at that time.
Yeah. And we did not leave until like almost 4.
Wow.
Um
Was it so it was fun then?
oh yes, this was like my first proper rave. Like I've been to ones at conventions, but I've always heard like those aren't like proper ones. And like
Okay.
I could wrap my head around that, but actually going to one, it was awesome. The
Okay.
the venue had 4 DJs that were spread across the building, so you'd leave a room, walk around for a second, and then find another room with a DJ who had like a whole totally different set list.
Sure. That's okay. That sounds I see
Um,
I would check out a rave. I just don't want to by myself.
well, yes, no,
But I
I
would
wouldn't
check it out.
either. But we went with a group of, let's see, I'm closing my eyes to do the number. It was 6 of us total, so.
Okay, sure.
Mhm. And that was just a blast. The main room had this DJ set list that was like a bunch of like, um, I think it was like Indian style music, and it was just bumping so hard. Like I loved it.
Okay.
My back was actually kind of hurting the following day just because of how much I was moving. I had like a little knot in my back, but yeah,
Sure.
that was awesome.
That
And yeah,
sounds like a fun time, yeah.
but the highlight I'll just say of the trip was the
Sure.
food. Oh
Okay.
my goodness, so much food. We had so much food every single day. And all of it like kind of relatively cheap because we kind of like passed it, like, shared the bill.
Mhm.
People bought certain things, and we just got little like bits of food from a bunch of different places. Um, like Indian style food, Middle Eastern, Egyptian, African food. We had like Turkish, no, not Turkish, Yemen coffee, and they do their coffee in a different way. Like they put grounds in the middle of the can, but it's like separate to it as well. And it's like it was really good. It's just
Okay.
like yeah, I was so enthusiastic about all that food, including the lemon ice I told you about.
Yeah, the snow cone. Yeah, yeah.
The snow cone mixed with ice cream, that is something else entirely, and it was incredible. Like, yeah.
Yeah. No, you
Um,
mentioned it was really good, and I'm sitting here like, this is a snow cone, but whatever you say,
no,
man.
it isn't. It
Whatever
does
you
seem like it
say.
would be, but it isn't.
Okay, sure,
It's
sure. I
so
believe you.
good. You if you ever get out there and you'll walk up to it and you'll just be like looking right at me being like, "You were right, Quinn. I'm so sorry." Because that happened 4 times that on that trip, because we brought people to the ice shaved or the lemon ice, and they were all doubting it, and then they had it, and they're like, "Oh my god."
Okay. Definitely, yeah,
So
for
it's
sure
like,
keep that in
"Do the
mind.
math."
All right. It might actually be good. Okay. Whatever you
Um,
say.
but yeah, New York was awesome. We walked so much because we you wouldn't dare try to drive in New York. That is probably the most hellish like driving experience I've ever witnessed. Like I'm just like this is just you're gonna die from an ulcer from like stress just sitting in traffic.
Yeah. Okay. So
So yeah,
I've been to New York like over a decade ago, so it's been a while for me. But yeah,
yeah.
that kind of tracks checks out.
Yeah, I mean, and the subways are pretty manageable
Okay.
too, and but yeah, really cool trip. Love New York. Trying to bring back that energy back here in terms of like enthusiasm
Sure.
and just like, yeah, New York was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That is good to hear.
Yes,
Awesome. Well, we want to move on to what we've been watching.
yes, and we can kind of jump back and forth. I know
Sure.
we've seen some more similar stuff, but you can go
I'm
first
gonna
since I've been
speed
talking.
run these ones I'm highlighting.
Yes, yes.
So when I was doing the morning show, when I was actually just at home, just kind of dying on no sleep, I decided to rewatch a few movies that are some of my all-time favorites. Just because I didn't want to think too hard about it, so we're like, okay, we're just gonna rewatch these. So I rewatched The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, Django Unchained, and The Hateful Eight. Now, The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises are some of my favorite superhero movies. I prefer The Dark Knight just a bit more than Dark Knight Rises, but
I think that is a right opinion.
I think
The
I
right
don't I don't
opinion.
think that's anything crazy though. But
No.
to me, I've always been a fan of the more grounded Batman stories.
Yes.
And Dark Knight, yeah, it's got some elements towards the end that are a little less serious, but overall, it's a pretty grounded story
Yeah.
that I do enjoy a lot. And Dark Knight
I think
Rise, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say just one thing about that movie because I actually rewatched both of these recently as well.
Yeah,
But one of my favorite things about the Dark Knight, and I guess the Dark Knight Rises kind of does this, but in a way I'm not as fond with. But just how quickly in Dark Knight or steadily things get more and more out of hand.
mm-hmm,
Because like the Joker's always just one step ahead,
sure, yeah.
sort of stuff. So
No,
I
I
like
agree.
that a lot.
I agree. Heath Ledger as the Joker is just probably I would probably argue is the best Joker. I also don't think that's a crazy take to have.
That's not a yeah. That's not. I'm not gonna argue with that. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if he's my favorite still, but he like oh he's still great.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah.
Then Dark Knight Rises. I didn't enjoy as much as my original watch of it, but I still really enjoyed it. I think there's some stuff towards the end that I don't really love. I think Talia al Ghul's reveal is kind of lame, I think. And
Yes.
the end where it's like he nukes himself and then survives, and I'm like, okay, buddy, calm down, but you do you.
That when I rewatched that recently, it gave me a lot of like Spider-Man 3 vibes where there's a lot of interesting things you can do here, but it's just so messy and not well played out with a lot of the stuff they have. I totally forgot the whimper that Bane goes out on.
Yeah, he
He
just
gets
gets
shot.
shot and that's it.
Yeah, and my brother, when we were watching it, he pointed out right when that happened. He's like, "Yep, there, Bane's gone," and I was just like, "What? That was it? That's so lame."
That is lame. I do agree. That's pretty lame. Uh, but I think I actually liked Bane as a character.
Yes.
Uh, I think his
He's the
yeah, I actually really liked him.
he's probably like the best part of that movie in my opinion.
Probably. I think I liked. Oh yeah, actually, I liked a lot of stuff surrounding him and how he takes over Gotham.
Yes.
I liked the stuff with Bruce in the cave prison, trying to escape it. I did like that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's a great movie. I think it's great. It's just some stuff I'm not too fond of, but is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's a messy film.
yeah, it's definitely messy, but I like it.
Mhm.
Then I also rewatched two Tarantino movies. I watched Django Unchained and The Hateful Eight. Now, Django Unchained might just be my favorite movie of all time. I say might. And after I pirated it and rewatched it, because it wasn't,
Well, you can't. You mean legally bought it, sir? What are
I
you
legally
talking about
bought
here?
it on a third party website because it was
We.
on Peacock and we don't have that. So I said, okay, bet. Sounds because it. Okay, I swear Django Unchained and Hateful Eight were on Netflix at some point. They are no longer on Netflix. So I
Yes, they
said, all
were.
right. I said, all right, sounds good. Gotta watch it in a sketchy way. But again, Django is probably one of my favorite movies I've ever seen. And The Hateful Eight, I think, is a really underrated Tarantino movie that's not
Mhm.
talked about as much. Because The Hateful Eight is a very good movie to watch multiple times because you will notice more details about it that start to make more sense once you know the context behind what like actors are saying or certain camera shots.
Yeah.
So it's very much a great rewatch. Um, and I've rewatched it multiple times despite it being 3 hours. I do love the dialogue in that Tarantino writes.
Yeah.
It is just great. I like it, and I don't have much else to say. These are some of my favorite movies. These four movies are some of my favorites. So that's I just wanted to mention. I did rewatch them because I was surviving.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's nice to, in a situation like that, I think that makes the most sense. Like you don't want to think too hard about something, so you put on something very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
There's a power to that for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Now, what have you been watching?
Before we talk about, the big movies, I'll go
Yeah,
through some of the other ones.
sure.
Uh Actually, so I'll start with one I actually just watched the other day. It's called I Love You, Philip Morris. This is a rom-com starring Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor,
Ewan,
or Ewan, or how do you pronounce that?
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan or Ewan,
Ewan.
Ewan McGregor.
I know
Uh,
he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. For those who don't know, he's Obi-Wan
yes,
Kenobi.
yes, he's in, yeah, but yeah, it's a rom-com starring them. So it's a gay romance movie, and my first impression was going off of the title, the year this movie came out, 2009, like the main cast, the people behind the movie, this just seemed like, okay, we're gonna throw this on. It's gonna age like milk. It's gonna be really hateful,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll watch it. Turns out this movie just rocks.
Okay.
It's very funny. It's like the basic setup is like Jim Carrey's character, after going through like near death experience, wants to live his life as a gay man because he's always been, gay. And through a series of situations, he does get thrown in jail and starts a romance with a fellow inmate called Philip Morris. And their romance in this movie is actually like really sweet. Like it's a bit deranged, like what the stuff that's happening around them, but it's like
Sure.
the lengths the two are gonna go for each other is like really sweet. And then like while also being funny, this movie has like very emotional moments to it as well.
Mm,
That it was like my brother and I were just both like for minutes just like speechless, being like, where the heck is this going?
sure.
Are they gonna do this sort of thing? And it's also held up by like a script that is like constantly moving. Like I don't feel like there's a single like moment where like it really takes you out of the film because they're just constantly introducing new story scenarios. And it's just very entertaining. I really enjoyed watching this movie.
Okay.
Um would highly recommend it. And it's just like as a piece of like I guess like queer media, I'm just like, why aren't people talking about this? Like I understand Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor aren't gay, so that could
Sure.
be viewed as problematic. But like in terms of like
Yeah,
the
but
actual
they're
content,
acting. It's a movie. They're acting, so who
yeah,
cares?
they are acting and it's done in a way that I don't think is really that hateful and more earnest. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I have no issue. Like this is cool. This is a cool movie. People should watch it.
Sure.
That's
No,
that's my 2 cents on I Love You, Philip Morris.
no, that sounds really good. I like that.
Yes.
And what else have you been
Um,
watching?
so my brother and I watched a movie a while back in March, called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Yes.
I might have meant yeah, I think I
You
mentioned
have
this to you
mentioned it
before.
to me, yes.
Yes, and I love that movie. I thought that was a very funny, also well like emotional kind of movie. And so we decided to go back and watch the original web series that this show like spun off from. Like this came out like 2007 and was released free on the web, so you can just go to their website and watch all the episodes. And this is like 11 episodes of just a very funny, like comedy show that is a clear like it's a passion project of these two main guys, and they're just writing and doing whatever they think find funny.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I also find it funny. So the basic like setup of this whole series, and like this goes on to the movie as well, is that there's these two guys named Matt and Jay. They have a band called Nirvana the band, but it's not Nirvana, it's Nirvana the band.
Sure.
Um, and they are constantly trying to get a show at a venue called the Rivoli, and this is like in Toronto, Canada. And it's just like this like small little venue where they're just like we need to get a show there to do our bits. And then so you just watch these two guys constantly try to figure out ways to get a you know
Mm-hmm.
to get a show there, and it's just ridiculous and also just like really funny. And they do so many unexpected things. And one thing I loved about this web series was that they just use music like whatever because they're not getting paid for it. Like, sure, we're gonna end one episode with like a minute 30-second clip of a Smashing Pumpkin song, and then the next episode we're gonna start off with a Beatles song
Oh,
because who
sure.
cares?
Love of the
We're not
game.
getting paid, and I'm just like, I part of me's just like I wish we could use music like that more because it leans into the jokes and the setups more. And it's just like if they had to pay for that Beatles rights, they'd probably be like $1 million or whatever. And I'm
Oh, it
just
probably
like
would be.
it's like obviously I know you need to copyright your music, but that was just one thing big thing I took away where it's like, oh, I wish we could just use music like that. That's fun. It makes it funnier here. But yeah, I would I would recommend this to literally anyone. I think it is a very like maybe not everyone would find it funny, but I just really enjoyed it, and I just love like two quirked up white guys in Canada make some very funny comedy that still lasts almost a decade later. Um, through their just love of music, media, and whatnot.
Sure.
Um, cool guys, very cool guys.
I like that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, actually, did you ever see or did you ever hear the movie Blackberry?
I've not.
That came out like a few years ago. And
Oh,
that
well,
was
yes, I'm aware of this. Yeah.
yes, Matt from this show, he
Mhm.
directed that. He's also stars in it.
Oh, Matthew
Um,
Johnson. Yeah, okay.
yep, yep. And
Yeah.
like both of these guys are, yeah,
Yeah.
they're working still, and they're great. So
Okay. Gotcha. No, that's
yeah,
awesome. Looking at that. All right. Do we want to talk
alrighty,
about the big one?
yes,
All right. So we both saw Hades Town over this
yes.
last week, and
No,
now
I know, but
no,
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 that
no.
was just Quinn.
That was just me. I'll talk about
I
that in a
I
second. But
would wanna watch Hadestown at some point, but
it was good. Actually, it was good. But we'll talk about that in a second. But we both
well, no,
saw.
you can no, you actually you could talk about that
Yeah,
because
I
then I
mean, I've got a brief. It's not crazy. I saw Hades Town because I saw it was coming to theaters, and I didn't know. I like only heard it's good, but I haven't actually. I don't actually know much about it. So I went and watched it. I was very impressed. The cast was great. The music was phenomenal. I really liked the story. And one thing that did also impress me was the cinematography of the recording of this musical. Uh, was really impressive. The actual recording
Hmm.
was very impressive. I've seen some shitty recordings of musicals before, but this was like, oh no, you're actually in there with the audience, with the characters. So it actually feels great. Hermes
Very
has aura.
engaging reporting.
Oh yeah, Hermes
It,
has aura.
from what I've
Hades
heard.
has aura. Like there are a lot of characters who are just farming on stage, and I'm here for it. Uh, but I actually didn't know, not knowing much about this, I enjoyed this quite a lot. But so that's
Nice.
Hades Town.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, now let's talk about the big one we both have seen.
yes.
Spider-Man brand new. No, I'm kidding. Okay, let's talk about the Odyssey. Let's talk about the
Okay,
Odyssey.
okay.
So, I like Nolan movies.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
I
a crazy
I
statement.
yeah, I've not seen all of his stuff, but like his movies are an event and like yeah, I really enjoyed what I've seen of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific grandioseness that you don't get from some other directors that you get with Nolan,
Mm-hmm.
and this movie is definitely no exception to that.
Sure.
Um,
It's a
uh,
fun movie. I like, yeah, Nolan's projects are, you're like, okay, yeah, this is probably gonna be pretty good. Um,
yeah,
and the
okay, yeah,
Odyssey
just
was great.
give your thought. Yeah, give your thoughts on the movie.
I liked
Like,
the Odyssey a lot. I liked the mythology of it. I really like the set pieces of it too.
yes,
I think there are some genuine like horror moments in this movie, and I've heard
yes,
in interviews that Nolan would like to at some point make a horror movie at some point, and if he does,
mhm.
that would be really awesome. So I'd be all on board for that.
Yes, that would be interesting because, like, yeah, the horror that is presented in this movie is pretty effective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I Yeah, because a lot of those monster sequences were honestly like my favorite parts of that movie. Like, I guess going into some spoilers, just yeah, heads
Mm-hmm.
up to anyone listening. Um, like the scene with the Cyclops.
Yeah.
Like, I really like how they adapted him, making him more of a monster rather than like kind of like a guy who is more conscious of what he's doing, like in the original book, like where they have to kind of trick him through language. This guy's just like, oh, there's people in here. I'm hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and it's terrifying.
Yeah, he acts more like just like a rabid animal in this
Yeah,
than anything like with a conscience. And I like that. It makes it
yeah.
more effective, I think.
Um, a highlight for me, talking about monsters still, was the land of the Lestrygonians, which they don't name them in the movie. That because so initially I didn't know if that's what they were, but those were the giant men in armor. Um,
Yes, cuz
though
that was cool.
I loved that so much. That might be my favorite scene in that movie. I just like when they just they're walking towards these guys like horror slasher villains, where it's just like we don't need to run, we'll
Mhm.
get you.
It's like, yeah,
And there's just
we're going to kill you. It's there's nothing you can do
yeah,
about it.
and there's just so many of them, and it's so hard to kill them, and they're just like smashing trees apart to get to them.
Mhm.
Their giant swords are cutting people in half, and it's just and when they get onto the water and they're just hacking up the boat, oh, I'm just like, oh, that's so freaky.
It's freaky. It's a lot of moments like that.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed the moment where the witch turned everyone into pigs.
That was also really
That
freaky.
was a
The
freaky moment.
practical effects, I'm assuming it was a mix of practical and probably a little CGI. I know
Mhm.
no one doesn't really like to use CGI, but there, like when she like stretches the face like forward, like that's a practical effect, I'm pretty sure. And like looks really freaky and good.
Yeah. So I think it's overall pretty good. I think if, if I had any complaints, I think more of some of the writing is just not uh like some of the dialogue at least is very Nolan dialogue, which it can be hit or miss for me. And some of it I just like, okay, I don't really like this that much.
Yeah. And like after having watched it, I kind of hearing somewhat of like complaints of that. Like I can understand that some more. Especially like at the very end of the movie. I think there's a few silly lines that it kind of undercuts some of the emotion, but I mean, it's a small complaint for me because I think it was just I'm assuming it's similar to you, but like it was such a theater movie.
Hmm.
Like just like just so incredibly loud. Oh my gosh. Like that Cyclops scream, that's probably the loudest sound I've ever heard in the theater.
Really?
That's what I felt. I was like genuinely like, "What? That is so loud."
Okay.
Same with like the boat scene later on, like when they're going through the storm.
Yeah.
It's
Oh. Sorry.
it's very much what I call a dude's rock movie,
No, it
or
is
like
very much a movie
dad
you
killer.
watch in a theater. You
Like
absolutely should see this in the theater. I agree.
yes, that's what I was telling everyone, and I am pretty happy that I enjoyed this because like that I told you a while back, like, but those like initial trailers, I did not think this was gonna be anything that great. I didn't really like the casting for a lot of the characters. I just didn't like the look of it.
Hmm.
And Matt Damon really proved me wrong in being Odysseus. I thought he was great in the role.
Yeah, I thought Matt Damon was a great main character.
Hmm.
I think the other thing I wanted to mention is the online discourse around this
Yeah,
game, not game, the movie.
or movie. Yeah,
Because I think it's so silly. Because I think, like, as I just mentioned, I think some of the dialogue is goofy. I think those are some legit issues, legit criticism with the movie. But the main
yeah,
thing you've seen about the movie is that Elliot Page is in this, Zendaya is in
yeah,
this, Travis Scott is in this, and to me, it's like a nothing burger issue because I think combined, all three of those characters have maybe what 8 minutes of screen time in a
yeah,
3 hour epic.
yeah.
It's nothing, you know. It's really nothing.
And it is such a nothing burger thing because it is like this is one of the oldest stories in human history, and it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It was not like some of it is based in some reality, but like in terms of the actual events that happen, they are fictional. And
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, you can or and they're not based on real people. You can put in whoever you want for a lot of these roles because they're not real people. If
Sure.
this was like based on a historical event, then I feel like that could be a bit more justified. But in a situation like this, it does not matter. It is an adaptation. Anyone can adapt this story however they want.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mentioned this to Quinn, but to me, it kind of brought me back to the Starfield discussion
mhm.
of when I think Starfield's got some real issues in terms of
Yeah,
being like a bland open world game that kind of plays like it's outdated even when it came out. It kind of just plays like shit. You don't really have much to do in it. But the
yeah,
main thing people were talking about was that there's a 5 second point at the beginning of the game where you have to select your pronouns. And to me it's kind of like with the Odyssey, how those three characters have maybe 8 minutes of screen time in a 3 hour movie. That whole pronoun section is maybe 5 seconds of a 40, 50 hour long game. It's like
yeah,
so nothing in
yeah,
the grand scheme of things that people are really
yeah.
complaining about.
And to me also like it being like early story in human history, it's just like this time in real life human history, it wasn't all just white dudes, as
Mm-hmm.
even though that's what some people think. Like there was a bunch of different people all colliding with each other in this time in human history. So it's like it's just another yeah, whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's stupid. It's a very dumb, stupid discourse that's not surprising at all, but it's still like, oh great,
Yeah,
here
it's
come
not
the
not the
belly
first
achers.
time, will not be the last time we hear something like this. I did
Yeah.
also want to point out, I did think this was kind of funny, but I did hear some discourse about, oh, well, it's so what, like, yeah, what are they gonna be gay next? I'm like, bro, did you know? Do you know what the Greeks are, man?
Yeah, I think a lot of
Have
them
you
were
heard of the
very, very
Greeks?
bi.
It's a very gay time in
Or
history.
or at least exude bi behavior.
Hmm. At least
I
in history, it is a very
yeah,
homosexual time.
yeah, yeah, so
But yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. The discourse
silly.
is weird, but I really enjoyed the movie.
Yes, I one of my highlights of the year, Um, we'll see how it ranks at the end of the year, but it definitely was one of my favorites this year.
Sure. And then the last movie I saw yesterday, actually, no, 2 days ago, was Spider-Man: Brand New Day, because that also came out recently. And
Surprisingly enough, I also saw this movie
when did you watch this?
yesterday.
Oh, you did. You didn't tell me that.
Yes, because I wanted to have it be a surprise.
Oh, look at that.
I was invited like literally 50 minutes before I got off work to go see that, and I was like, sure. Because that was the only way I was gonna watch that movie was if someone invited me to go see it.
Low-key, probably fair.
All right, but I'll let you go first.
I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of. I'll start with my complaints right away. I think there's some moments that are very convenient
Mm,
for characters and like a lot of stuff. I'm like, oh wow, there's no way we can find this out. Oh sure, no, we can figure this out right away. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of convenient. I don't really like.
yeah.
I don't really love that aspect of
Mm,
it. Past that, I enjoyed this movie quite a lot. I thought the action was really fun. I thought seeing Peter's character arc throughout the whole movie was really interesting, and then seeing
mhm.
how he interacts with the side characters was really fun. My theater was packed, so everyone was reacting to everything. So it was really that was a cool experience too. But I think overall I did enjoy it, even if I don't like some of the writing and a lot of some of the
Mhm.
stuff in it. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say on it, but yeah, what do you think?
I lot of similar things to what you said, but I felt still kind of like lukewarm-ish in terms of like, yeah, this was good.
Hmm.
Just because the Marvel spell has been broken for me for quite a while, and I could still like get appeal and like enjoyment out of watching some of these movies, but it's just so hard for me to get so invested in some of the stuff they try to get you involved in, and also just like the whole like what's gonna happen next, like after credit stuff is always just like I don't care anymore. The only reason I sat in that theater is because all of my friends were still there. Otherwise, I would have just gone up and walked
Fair
out.
enough.
But I felt like the strongest parts of this movie to me were the action sequences, which I thought were just quite stellar. The like the initial like swinging around the city moments reminded me like, oh yeah, I should probably play that Spider-Man game at some point.
Yeah.
The spoilers, by the way, just briefly. The Hulk fight, I actually really enjoyed. Like when they just crashing through that floor and like I thought that was just like shot really interesting and like
Hmm.
that was cool to watch. And then the whole like the hand fight at the very end of the movie was also very cool. Um, but in terms of like a lot of the emotional writing stuff, some of it worked on me mainly towards the end, but like some of the like middle stuff, I was just kinda, like, almost a little eye rolly. I'm like, "Eh," kinda like you, like, "That's convenient."
Hmm.
Um, but, I mean, I think from my impression of it was that it was a step in the right direction from kind of where I left off with Marvel, which was like, "Oh, this is getting very tired and samey,"
Yeah.
and they have to undercut all of their emotional stuff, but, they weren't doing that quite as much here. But I enjoyed it, but I wasn't, like, incredibly enthusiastic about it,
That's fair.
like I've seen some people.
I think what you said about it being a step in the right direction is fair because I think Marvel is in a good like is in need of like a good course correction, and I think this is a
Yeah,
good step in that direction.
they're starting to do that from what I've seen, but,
Hmm.
um,
Like, but it's
like
still very much a Marvel movie. It still very much
yes.
is, but I
So
think this is
that's
is
why
step
I'm
in the
still
right
not.
direction.
Yeah. I, I'll have the same I have the same reaction to Doomsday where it's like, I will see that movie if someone invites me to it, otherwise, I don't really care.
I mean, depending on when I'm back home, we'll
Oh, that
see.
is true.
It
That is
depends. It's still
true.
up in the air, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that's movies. Did you
That is
want to
movies.
quickly go through some books?
Yes,
Actually,
I can.
you've got some music quickly.
Yes, I'll be kinda quick about
Sure.
this. Um, So far this year, I've kind of realized. Yeah, I always like, we always like to kind of speculate what our like Spotify Wrapped will be. What's my most listened to this year? I know pretty strongly what my focus on music of this year is going to be, and that is a lot of electronic music, ambient, specifically the genre IDM, which is called intelligent dance music. Um, it's kind of like very like I don't even know how to describe it. Like kind of calming, methodical electronic music with very little dialogue to it. And these bands that would fit into this genre would be like Boards of Canada, which I have mentioned a few times. I think I mentioned it on the first show, which I have. They're one of my favorite bands nowadays. They released an album back in May, and it's just my favorite of the year. Actually, that was a surprise birthday gift. Was that album, for me. So been re-listening to that a bunch, and it's just like so calming, but also weird sounding sometimes. And I just, it's one of those bands I can throw on pretty much whenever. And another one is an artist called One O Tricks Point Never, which is a very weird name, and it took me a while to even figure out how it's pronounced. But this ambient artist is like, he cuts cuts to the core, cuts to my core pretty much. It's like very Boards of Canada y, where it's like kind of calming, but it's also like emotional, and it gets like emotional even though it's not saying any words in a lot of his songs. Specifically, his album Replica is one of my favorites and is like quickly rising as just like all time ever,
Sure.
and would love a vinyl of at some point. Um,
Okay.
and he was also another artist I got a vinyl for my birthday. So literally just like my two favorite bands that I've listened to this year, got both vinyls from them for my birthday. So it was just like very appropriate. And I wanted to mention that and also give it out as a recommendation because to anyone, including you,
Fair enough.
because I,
Remind
they're just
me.
one of my favorites now.
Remind me so I can write this down.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Remind me of the album name.
Oh,
I
so we
just
have
like.
Boards of Canada, which is spelled exactly how it
Yep.
sounds. And actually, a fun thing I didn't pick up on when I first watched this movie, but the end credit theme to Backrooms uh, is one of their songs off of the new album.
Really?
Yes, and I feel ashamed for not picking up on that initially because I had heard that album at that point. But yeah, I just thought that was very cool.
Okay.
Um, and then
Interesting.
the other artist, let me just figure out how to spell his name. One O Tricks Point Never, and it's spelled one like
Mm-hmm.
ONEOHTRIX Point Never. It should come up.
Yep. Got it.
And like I could tell you after the recording like maybe what albums to start with if you had any interest, but
Sure.
um yeah,
Yeah.
that just wanted to briefly mention that. And then another thing, the past few days I've been starting a new list on Backlogged, going through my favorite video game tracks, not ranked, but just like listing a song from right now one game at a time. So I'm not just putting multiple references to a game,
Right.
and but and then also giving a short little paragraph as to why I like it. And so it's just kind of a way to remind myself of some of my favorite gaming tracks while also practicing talking about music somewhat. So
Okay. Fair enough. See
yeah.
that list is not actually on backlogged because I'm
No, it
looking right
isn't.
now.
I'm because I was gonna put at least just a few more in there before I made it public, but I'll let you know.
Sure. Sure.
I have 10. I just want to put at least 15 in. I got
That's
10
fine.
in right
Yeah.
now. I need five more.
That's fine. Okay. Do we want to talk about some books
Yeah.
now?
Yes, we can.
All right.
I'll be pretty brief on mine. So
I'll be quick with
you
mine
can.
too.
Okay, yeah, you can go
So
ahead.
I finished up Between Two Fires finally, because that is a bit of a longer book, I admit.
Yes.
But I think I'll admit it did start losing me towards the end. I cannot lie. And towards the end, maybe I also just was reading it wrong. Maybe I was also just reading it while sleep deprived at work doing morning show stuff. Maybe it could be that too. But I was so confused for like pretty much the last, I don't know, 50 to 60 pages of this story.
Mhm.
But I actually really liked Between Two Fires for what it is, just the journey through um, a medieval like hellscape. There are
Yeah.
some cool moments in this book that describe like angelic and demonic entities. That was pretty cool. But past that, at the end, I was like, all right, we're ready to wrap this one up. But it's
Mhm.
done with, so Between Two Fires is complete. And the other
Yes.
one I read, well, actually not read, I'm still in the middle of, is Incidents Around the House. So here's how this one came to be. So while watching The Odyssey, there was a trailer before The Odyssey started for a movie called Other Mommy. And it freaked me the hell out so much that I decided to buy the book that it was based off of and read it. And I'll be honest, this is a pretty quick read, and so much so that I'm what I think 230 pages into this after just only a few days, just because page the lines are pretty spaced apart and the text is very easy, so it is a quick read. But it's a very interesting story, I think. It's from the perspective of this 5-year-old girl who doesn't like it's all from her perspective, so she doesn't quite understand what's going on. Um, this monster that is tormenting them. There are some genuine scary moments with it. I think like
Mhm.
there's some moments that did actually kind of spook me a little bit in the book when realizing what's happening. I was like, oh shit. Um, there was actually a moment yesterday when I was at work. I was reading it and I audibly uttered, "Ooh!" And my coworker looks at me and said, "You good?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reading." Uh, so I'm interested in it. I'll probably finish it before our next. I mean, at this pace, I should be able to finish it before our next episode of Quinn Squared. But I'm enjoying it. I'm really interested to see how they're going to adapt this into the movie because I can already tell you what's different from the initial trailer and what's in the book. I can already tell you what's different, but that's interesting. And the other books I bought The Road from Cormac McCarthy because I wanted to read something from McCarthy, but I heard this was a bit of an easier one of his reads. And then just for shits and gigs, I bought Red Rising, knowing absolutely nothing about it and just hearing this is a guy's book. So I'm like, all right,
Red Rising.
we'll check it out. Um, but that's what I've
Red
been reading. So I've
Rising.
actually been doing a decent amount of reading, which is
Nice.
pretty good.
I think I've seen this cover before, but I don't know anything about Red Rising as well.
Yeah, I know nothing. We'll get to it
It's
when we
got
get
some
to it.
sort of knight guy on it. Actually, it's a sci-fi knight looking guy. Anyways, curious as to what that'll be.
Sure. Yeah, no, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Alrighty, two books I'll briefly talk about. One, the next book in the book club that I'm with my uncle. It's Jaws. So I'm reading the
Yippee!
original Jaws, that inspired the movie, and it's pretty good. I think it's a quicker read because if you've seen the movie, you kind of know the steps it goes through, so you can kind of you read past those sections quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But since it is a book, it goes into far more detail about the characters and the actual setting. And so I think the book so far, I'm only like 150 pages into it, but it does a good job of highlighting just like the emotional personal lives of the characters that will eventually go on to fight Jaws, and just like and also like the how crappy Amity, or I think that's what it's called, the
So,
Amity
Amity
town
Island, yeah.
is. Amity Island, that's right. Amity Island is, in terms of like, oh yeah, if we don't have tourism even like for one season, we're screwed. Everyone needs to move. We'll have no money.
Mm-hmm.
So it really kind of puts a spotlight onto why like people like the mayor in the movie are trying to keep the beaches open despite Jaws killing people. And it's just like, yeah, we have no other choice. And I think that is a really interesting angle that obviously the movie just doesn't have the time, as much time for to highlight. But the book kind of picks up those pieces a little bit more, and it is an interesting read, and it's, I think, so far pretty well written. Um,
Sure.
like the moments with Jaws in the book are like, it's like half a page of like, oh yeah, here's the shark, it ate this person and now it's gone, just because that's how quickly it moves, and it's just like, that's cool. Like
Yeah, that is cool.
you only get like a little bit of Jaws action, and then like pages and pages of people reacting to the death, sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
like that, and that's cool. um and then the other book I picked up in New York is a book called The Tatami Galaxy. And this is a book that was eventually made into an anime, which I've seen and quite enjoy. This author, which I don't have his name pulled up, which I forget, but he has a number of books that got adapted into anime and like movies. But this one is an interesting read because it follows a college student who is reminiscing on his life in college and like belly aching about like, oh, I've wasted it. This was a
Mm-hmm.
horrible last 2 years. I wish I could change and turn back everything. It all depended on like me joining this one school club at the start of the semester. And so the first chapter of the or first part of the book is like seeing his life the past 2 years when he joined this movie club.
Sure.
And then the next chapter, it reverts back to 2 years ago, and he's choosing a different club. And you're seeing how his life spins out from there. So it's very much like a story about, you know, making the best of what you have, not always like thinking of like, oh, what if I did things differently, and sort of stuff like that. I the book is a very easy read. And I enjoy the writing style of it, but obviously I think the anime itself is probably better just because the art direction for that is just incredible. If you have a second, you should check out the Tatami Galaxy, and it's spelled like Tataim or
Tommy
Mi.
Galaxy. Ooh, this is a cool art style. I
Yes,
like this.
and it's a very fast paced. Like when you watch the show, like the writing is very fast paced, so it's kind of, unless you're good at reading like dubs, it is a bit of a hard one to maybe sit through because I don't
Okay.
think it has a, or sub. I mean, not dubs. I don't think it has an English dub.
Yeah. So
Um,
it's just kind of overwhelming at times,
It is
maybe.
it can be a bit overwhelming, but
Okay.
it is an extremely unique show. And as soon as I saw that this got or an English translation, like a friend pointed out to me in a bookstore, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm buying this.
Okay.
And the version I bought is actually pretty cool because it's a very small book, like a small thick book, so I could just put it in my pocket.
Okay. Sure.
And that's what I did when I was walking around New York. Is like, oh, we have to sit on the subway for a few minutes. I'll just pull this out and read it.
I like that. That's fun.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's books.
Look at us. We're reading. All right. Last big topic. We got some
Yes.
video games.
We
Now
have played video games. Believe it or not, this is a gaming podcast.
is a gaming podcast. Now, before we start, see these two I'm highlighting. Should we run in my section? Should we run through
Yes,
these
yes.
quickly since we both can talk about this?
Yes. Yep.
So, last time I mentioned I had just barely started a game called Killer 7. Today, I have not finished that game because I ran into the same issue I've run into with other games like it, in the sense that if I'm having a hard time picking it up to play.
Mm.
Killer 7 is a game that fascinates me. It's a very interesting game to me that I don't actually enjoy playing. uh,
Mm.
it's very weird. It's very vibey. The gameplay is definitely something I can't say I've seen before,
Mm.
but I don't actually like playing through it much. Like I put 5 hours into it, but man, it took a while to put 5 hours into this game.
Mm.
So I would like to finish this at some point this year, but right now I decided I'm going to take a break and move on to
Yeah.
other stuff so I can actually play, games I enjoy. But
Yes. And
I do appreciate this game, and I do also want to finish it because it is one of your favorite games, and I feel like I do owe you that. I think that's fair.
Yes, but I definitely don't want you to just like force if you're like absolutely loathing it, which it doesn't sound like you are, but I wouldn't want you to do that if that were to ever be the case.
Sure.
But if you end up putting more time into it later this year, that would make me a happy man. But
Yippee!
I definitely wanted you just to see the start of that third chapter,
Mm-hmm.
where they're like sent to Texas to track down a cult leader. If
Yeah.
you did you
Yes.
yeah, the guy with the afro and the Broncos
Yeah,
shirt.
which is cool.
He's
But then the second I got into the area, I looked at the map, but I got overwhelmed, and I said, "Okay, that's enough of that."
yeah, the setup for chapter 3 is more like an open world
Hmm.
section where it's like you well, it's not like completely open world, but like you travel through it and then you unlock shortcuts that allow you to loop back into areas.
Sure.
But I just like really love that chapter because it has this like weird, jaunty, like Mexican music that plays when you're running through the town. And then just the main guy of that chapter, Almeida, the Afro guy, I find him very funny.
Okay. Yeah. I think I
He's like,
also my one of my issues I also just dislike the enemy placement in this game.
yeah,
I genuinely dislike it a lot.
yeah,
Um Especially because they do respawn, so it's not like you can just kill them and it's over. No, they
yeah.
do come back. And that I admit I don't like that much.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
Yeah,
not part of the reason.
it's not the most intuitive thing. And like my advice for you would just to be like take your time with it cuz like they never change their setup. So it's like if you walk into a room and see like, "Oh, there's a lot of guys here." If you leave, you can just turn around and leave and then they get all reset and you'll now know like where they are sort of
Sure.
thing.
Which is
Because
probably
there are
fair.
situations where it's like, oh yeah, there's 5 guys in front of me. I gotta get out of here, and so you should just like be on your toes sometimes to be like, oh, I'm running, because there's no downside to just turning around and running away.
Sure.
Um, and
Yeah.
I guess another upside to respawning is like you get more like of that blood resource from enemies, which you can use to upgrade your guys.
Hmm.
Not suggesting to do like full on farming, but like that's like one upside to that. But I agree, it's unfair sometimes, and that kind of persists.
Yeah. And I think a lot of my deaths in Core 7 have just been to like actually, sorry, no, all of my deaths have been to just unfair and bullshit enemy placement. Of
Hmm.
like, damn, there is genuinely nothing I can do about this, which
Yeah.
I don't like at all. Because whenever I play a difficult game, I always like to figure out if the reason I'm dying or failing is my fault or the game's fault. And here, I absolutely think it's the game's fault because
Mhm.
this enemy placement is just fucking is terrible.
Yeah. Yes. But I guess now that you've been experienced that somewhat, it is definitely best to go in like when you eventually go back to it, like the mindset of, okay, there's some bullcrap here. I have to keep my eyes out for said bullcrap.
Sure.
Because there will continue to be that.
Yeah, I'll just have to
Um
keep that one in mind
yeah, keep
when I get
yourself
back
on your
to it.
toes, sort of thing. Because there is a level of skill to this game, even if it is a bit unintuitive, like I've mentioned. Anyways,
Well, yeah, the other game that both Quinn and I finished. This is Quinn's what third? You said third time playing through this.
like 2.5 probably
Two and a half.
actually.
Okay, we played through Castle Crashers. The two of us
Castle
and one of our
Crashers.
friends, Jacob. The three of us played through. So we started this what back in March,
March.
I
No, it
think.
was like early March.
And just trying to get the three of us together was a bit of a challenge, but we were able to
Yes.
do it, and we finally wrapped up our playthrough of Castle Crashers.
Yes.
I'll admit I don't really like the game. I don't really like playing this game at all. Like it's just not really my thing. I've never been a huge beat 'em up fan, and that didn't really change here. Combat's not really my thing, and I genuinely think the depth perception is pretty bad because I will lose my character. I've lost my character just a lot of times.
Mhm.
However, this game is a vibe. I think the art style
Yeah.
is unique. The game has its own kind of humor that I enjoyed when I played Battle Block Theater, but it's still here.
Yes.
I think just playing it with you and Jacob also kind of saved it for me. Of yeah, this is definitely a fun game to play with friends. Because if I had done this solo, I definitely would not have finished it. I promise.
Yeah.
I
And
promise you.
it is as someone who is being it,
solo, it's a slog. So
Yeah,
this is like 100% more so than other co-op games, like immensely improved by having other people with you.
sure. So yeah, there's that. But
Hmm.
I think yeah, I enjoyed playing it with you guys, and that is Castle Crashers. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about some of your games?
Yes. Let's see. Actually, I clicked off the list. Okay. Start of the month, I played a boomer shooter called H-Rot or Hrot, and this was just like I don't know what's a good metaphor. Uh, this is like my slop where it's just like yes, yes, give it to me. Oh, I love it so much. I love like classic boomer shooter like FPS games.
Sure.
And this is very much a style of like or another one of like those indie games emulating that
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like you get a shotgun, you get a room full of guys, run around the room, try to avoid their attacks, like stuff like that. Like I very much enjoyed the gameplay of this game, and it's like in terms of like new things it introduces, it honestly does not do a whole lot new with the format. The most interesting thing I could say about the game is that it is inspired by like the aesthetics of like 1980s communism and its effects on, I believe it's the Czech Republic of that time. Because so like the first, I wish I pulled up the names of these real life people, but the first episode of the game references a lot of like Czech Republican leaders or communist leaders from
Okay.
that time that like heavily influenced the culture of that country and whatnot, and it
Yeah.
very much feels like a parody and reflection on that like bad time of history. um like the final boss of that first episode is like the this communist leader is revived and made into a giant spider monster that is running around killing you while he's smoking a pipe, and it's like
Okay.
it's ridiculous. This is so silly, but and like for me, I initially I thought this was like a very inconsistent tone of like being silly but also kind of serious. But by the end, but when I finished it, it was like, oh, this game is just kind of like a reflection on Czech Republic and like the history of that country and the people who influenced it. Like the start of episode 3 is called the first level is called the War of the Newts, like NEWTS,
Yeah.
like a reptile. Um, and it's like a dream level where you're fighting a bunch of newts that have guns and like army helmets, and they're like firing at you and whatnot. And I was like, what the heck is this? What are they doing? And then I learned that episode is based off of a real life sci-fi novel, like influential sci-fi novel of the same name, War of the Newts, that was written by a Czech author. So I was like, oh, okay, so it's just like a one-off thing, kind of referencing that, real life book that influenced sci-fi. That's cool. And so yeah, so my issue with the tone kind of went away when I realized that it's just a love letter
Sure.
to a lot of the history of that country and whatnot. And it's just a very solid boomer shooter that I don't have too much to say. It's just like if you like that genre, this is just another good one.
That's fair. I'm not trying to actually you or anything, but technically it during that time under the Soviet Union. It was called Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
Now it's called the Czech Republic. Again,
Yes,
not
and
trying
I'm
to
sure it's
actually you, but
well,
yeah.
you're correct because I'm sure that's what they said in the game, but I just didn't remember.
But because
But
that's technically where the majority of my heritage is. Technically, is the Czech Republic,
well, then you
Czechoslovakia
have to
area.
play Herat.
You know what? That is such a good point. That is a very good point.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia now, and it's like, yeah, 1989 is when communism really went over that. Wait, peacefully deposed their communist government. Oh, that's when they deposed the government. Okay,
Yeah.
um, and that's actually when the game takes place. Not that there's much of a plot to this game, but it's interesting. It is an interesting game.
Awesome. Do you want to go next with another one, or I can go through? I can
Uh,
go through a quick one.
yeah, yeah, you go, you go.
All right. So I played a game that I knew I was going to enjoy. That looked interesting to me. and that I didn't want to pay for until it got on sale. Then it got on sale, and that game is Keeper. This is a Double Fine game
Mm-hmm.
where I saw a trailer a while back, and it's like, yeah, this is probably gonna be pretty good, and it was pretty darn good. So, 2 seconds, I can pull up my review. So, Keeper is I do have a soft spot for this kind of genre. I've kind of dubbed it like the limbo likes, your limbos,
Yeah.
your insides, your little nightmares, where you kind of just head in one direction. No dialogue is really spoken, but the main thing you get to do is appreciate the environments.
Yeah.
But those are typically more horror related games, and Keeper is not a horror game, but it does have similar gameplay aspects, and I think the biggest comment that I think that I did appreciate about Keeper is the art direction. And because I do like Double Fine's art style, and it definitely shines here. This is a unusual world, and I have no idea what's going on in it, but it's very intriguing. That, and then starting at the bottom of the mountain, climbing to the top means you get to see a ton of different set pieces. There were multiple moments where I audibly said like, "Whoa!" So that's, I think, the biggest strength for Keeper. Gameplay is fine. It's not quite as smooth as I think it should be, especially when you're switching forms. Because you switch from, spoiler alert, you switch from playing as a lighthouse, trust, it works, to a
Like a
boat.
lighthouse crab thing.
Yeah, to like a boat, and then to like a disc. And I do think the gameplay does kind of progressively get worse with how you transform. And yeah, I noticed it. It's definitely not a big issue. I do like the simplicity of the game's world. I will say this might be fighting Paper Mario Thousand Year Door for best art direction. It might be, but
Hey,
it's
we
a
love
beautiful
good
game.
underdog.
It is a beautiful game. I don't know if we'll see at the end of the year, but this is a great game.
Yeah.
It's simple and I liked it. So that is Keeper.
Nice. Next one I'll talk about is Even the Ocean. Sorry, I'm just
Yippee.
okay. Sorry, I'm just getting my thoughts
No, you're
together.
good.
So I after playing the Anodyne games, which I've talked to you about in the past,
Yes.
I decided to go through all of Angelisec Productions games, which are primarily spearheaded by two developers. I can't remember their names a second. Again, I should have done some better note taking. But I find, from what I've outside looking in, I find all of their games pretty fascinating to look at, and their direction of like we're going to be very transparent about how we made this game after a certain point, I think is really interesting. So I've been determined to eventually play all their games, and they've like released a new one last year that I'm really excited to eventually get around for. But this was their second game they released after Anodyne, and I could tell after the first hour I wasn't going to be as enthused about this one compared to everything else I'd checked out so far.
Sure.
And I think an issue for me was that it's a definitely a more grounded, serious story that I just personally couldn't quite get into. And I don't know exactly why. I didn't mind the characters, but I just wasn't super invested in what was going on. And like it only took like a few hours for me to, well, not even a few hours, like just like after an hour to kind of figure out the trajectory of where the story was going. And for the most part, I was correct by the time I finished it. Um, and so yeah, that was a big like point of contention for me, where it's like it's hard for me to get the motivation to keep going when I don't really care too much about what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is I did really enjoy the gameplay sections. There's like so it's kind of split in between, like half of it is storytelling, like a lot of dialogue, and then the other half is like going to these dungeons that just have a bunch of puzzle platforming sections. And the game has a really cool concept of like you don't have a health bar, but you have to balance like your dark and light energy, and
Sure.
which is like a bar that shows up at the bottom of the screen, and you can influence it, like have more light energy than dark, or dark energy and light. And if you fill it out completely, you die. So that's like your health. But if you like
get more light energy, you actually like jump higher and kind of move a little quicker. But if you get a lot of dark energy, you move like really quick. So if you like, let's say to speed run this game, you'd probably want to always like be on death's door because you're like you're moving so quick when
Sure.
you're so close to death. So stuff like that, and then that translates well into like the puzzles and challenges the game throws at you to the point where like by the end of the game when they're throwing a bunch of different like mechanics at you, it's like this is really cool. I just wish it was just a little bit harder
Mm-hmm.
because like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here, but I'm getting through it all pretty quickly.
Sure.
um so yeah, that like I and once you beat the game, they do their trademark thing again of being like, "Hi, thanks for playing our game. Here's how we made it. Walk through our beta levels." And it's like, so I'm looking at like this is what the first level looked like in the early stages of development. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I just really like that transparency, and they've done that with their other stuff as well. And I'm just like, this is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, their accessibility settings are just like incredible.
Really?
I didn't really utilize them that much, but like from the start of the game, you can either choose like, do you want to play the game normally, or do you want to just do the story sections, or do you just want to do the gameplay sections? So like you could cut the game in half if you wanted to.
Really?
And
Okay.
and then you could also turn off like I can never die. Turn off locked doors. Let me jump higher. Let me move quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, you could literally just like cakewalk this game if you really wanted to. I didn't really feel like that was necessary, but like I don't know. I just was really impressed with that like level of accessibility.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely. I'll admit, you probably realize this. It's not my kind of game, at least
Yeah.
not
I
immediately.
don't think
But
you'd enjoy it much. I think you would like Anodyne. I'll definitely a lot more than this one would be. This for sure, but
okay.
yeah, it's not. I wouldn't be one I'd push over their other things so far. But like, I did not dislike my time with it, but I definitely didn't get as much out of it as their other ones so far.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So this next one I played, I didn't really talk to Quinn much about it because it was pretty quick, and I did finish
Mhm.
it. It's a short indie called "I Am Your Beast." Now this
Mhm.
is another shooter reminiscent of um, think of your like ultra kills where you just need to rack up a bunch like combos, complete objectives in certain levels. Uh, and I think the gameplay is relatively fun. I
Mhm.
it's challenging. Uh, well, okay, let me say that again. It's pretty easy up until the end, where it definitely does get challenging. But I think it's generally fun to play. It
Mhm.
does have the same issue I saw when I played Sanabi a while back. I don't know if you remember Sanabi at all, but
That's
the
like the platformer with
yeah,
Like the whip thing,
that
right?
one, yeah. So the
Yeah, yeah.
main issue I had with that game was the disconnect between the story and the gameplay because it felt like the two were fighting each other for screen time, where you'd have some really fun gameplay sections, but it would get hijacked by a story section. You're like, okay, so the
Mhm.
story's pretty good, but then it gets hijacked by gameplay. And I felt like that same issue, I noticed it here too. Where it does feel like the gameplay and the story are kind of fighting each other for screen time. And it's definitely not as bad as Sanabi, because Sanabi was really frustrating as like, just
Mhm.
let me play the damn game. But here it's not
Yeah.
as bad. And then the other thing I don't love is it's a minor complaint, but you have to exit to the level select screen to go to the next level. And I feel like there should have just been like a next button on the level completion
Yeah, that
screen.
is a bit that's a bit
It's
strange.
just like a convenience thing. I'm like, I feel like it's just would just be easier to do that, but I don't know. Like at the end of the day,
Mhm.
it's a short shooter. It's fun. There are things I
Yeah.
disliked, sure, but it's definitely a vibe, and it's short enough. So yeah, that is I Am Your Beast.
Mhm. Yeah, that one I am interested in at some point. I've seen some like high tier gameplay of that and just like how quickly you're able to move around and feel like you're like John Wick, Jason Bourne type character
Yeah.
is pretty interesting. Um, I I definitely am interested in checking that out at some point. I'm surprised about the story aspect of it. I figured it was just like immediately like, oh, we're gonna get this old legend guy and kill him. Go from there.
It like there is more of a story to it, and it's definitely
Yeah,
good, but I also feel like the disconnect, like, it just kind of hijacks the gameplay. I'm like, I would kind of rather be
yeah,
spending time playing this game than like
yeah.
reading, than like just hearing, because there's no like cutscenes. It's just text with a audio, like your voiceover, and that is fine. But I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just be playing the game. I think you could probably lose a lot of this and be fine, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm,
Oh well, that's just me. But that's I'm your beast.
mhm. All right. Um, last new game I started was Ratchet and Clank, the original for PS2.
The original
Oh,
2016 game.
no. God, no.
Okay.
Ugh,
Okay.
no.
Fine. All right. Good night. Good night,
Well,
everyone.
actually, I figured you would mention that actually, but I actually really wanted to check out that original first before ever playing the remake
Sure.
because I, from what I've heard, it is like a 1-to-1 remake of the original, but they changed some aspects of it in terms of like the writing and like how the movement as well as just like the original art direction to a point where like some people are like, honestly, the original's better.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
and so like I want to check out that remake at some point just to compare the two, but I figured like people love that first game so much, I'd rather just check out that original version first, especially since there's all like it has so many sequels that are only on the PS2. So like
Okay.
if you play that one on the PlayStation 4, the only other one that you could play in terms of new gen is what
Rift apart.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which is like after 8 games. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to play that one yet. And so far, I've put like 3 hours into Ratchet and Clank, and I am pretty impressed on how well it holds up. It does have some of like that early platform or PS2 platformer jank to it, where it's not always the smoothest thing control wise, but like I find a lot of its combat very satisfying. It gives you a lot of different types of guns right away. And at any time you can go into like a first person mode and just like fire uh with the controller and you'd be surprised at how well that actually just works while you're fighting people.
Okay.
And the combat is just very satisfying, and I enjoy the rapport of Ratchet and Clank, where Ratchet's a kind of a snarky asshole somewhat, and Clank is very much like a no nonsense, like nope, this is what we're doing. I
Sure.
have no idea what you were talking about. Let's do this thing. Um, and so there's like a cinematic element to um this this early platformer, and just showing so many different aliens to different worlds, different level types, and the music is also surprisingly pretty good,
Okay.
which is something I had heard about uh before ever playing this, but actually experiencing it firsthand, I'm like, this is very fun. So I'm very much enjoying my time with it so far. I definitely will beat it this month at some point.
Hmm.
um I'm taking my time with it, and I'm enjoying it so far. And it gets me excited to eventually check out those sequels as well, which
Sure.
I've heard just do like some of them do just get better and better. So
Okay. No, that's awesome.
it's
That's
very much
great.
yeah. I was
Uh-huh.
just gonna last thing I'll say is like
Yes.
this is a series I very much have a blind spot for, so I'm excited to eventually get around to checking all that out.
Okay. Cool. Last game I kind of finished in July. When Quinn and I, so we didn't mention this, but Quinn and I played a lot of Fortnite over the last few days, which has been pretty good. But while we were playing that, I mentioned, hey, I started this game called Roller Drome, and I think I can beat this
Mhm.
before our Quinn Square recording. I'm happy to announce I have beaten the game before our recording. So, um, I kind of did a reevaluation of my backlog because I was looking at it like, okay, I need to actually play stuff that I want to enjoy and not just kind of like trudge through. So I saw this game in my wish list from way back when. I looked at the trailer. It was on sale. Looked at some reviews. I'm like, okay, let's play Rollerdrome as kind of like a good first game for this like revival, like reimagined backlog. What a fun challenge. I really enjoyed Rollerdrome. I can't say I've played too many games like it, like a skating shooter. But it's a fun
Yeah.
subgenre, I think, to explore because like I mean gameplay's pretty fun. I jokingly said in my review, this is how you get your ball and gun gamer friend into indie games. Tell them it's just Tony Hawk Pro Skater with guns. Because that's what it is. It's a skating game,
Yes.
but you have guns. The controls feel pretty good. I like how you can complete and you can complete certain amount of challenges. You have to complete a certain amount of challenges to progress, but if you die before you beat the level, you don't lose that challenge, which I really appreciate. That was a really good convenience thing.
Mhm.
And it definitely makes the whole game feel rewarding. It offers a fun challenge. There were some roadblocks I hit towards the end because again, it is challenging, but I was able to get past it. Gameplay, I probably made it a little difficult on myself because I played with keyboard and mouse instead of a controller. But I enjoyed the keyboard and mouse controls. So I didn't really care that much about that. But
Mhm.
yeah, Rollerdrome, it's just another reminder. Hey, video games are fun. So not much else to really say. It's a simple game. It actually did what I Am Your Beast should have done, which is there's no real story. Like there technically is a story in Rollerdrome, and that story is just progression through like a challenge, like a not challenge, but through like a competition.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
very
like I know it's like a dystopian future where people are forced to participate in this like death game sort of thing.
yeah, something like
Is that
that.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, so like the story is just like you're progressing through this like your finals, your quarterfinals, your semifinals, and there's no like real
Hmm.
dialogue, so you kind of just it's just the gameplay. So
Hmm.
that I really appreciated, where it's like, okay, but let's have some emotional moments that are like, oh my god, nobody cares. But I
Yeah.
enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed this a lot. I'll probably remember this one a little bit when we get to the end of the year. And past that, I
Hmm.
did mention I did want to kind of talk about me rearranging my backlog, and what this entails is me going through everything. Like, okay, what do I actually want to play, and what this also involved me doing is going through and watching trailers, a bunch of trailers for video games. So I added some stuff. I removed some stuff that I didn't really have much interest in. And now I've got a solid foundation. I've got some more motivation of, okay, I want to beat these games. I want to play these games. I want to experience these games. And so the next game I'm going to start either tomorrow or Monday. I'm not entirely sure what. Um, I mentioned very early on in the episode when we were talking about physical media with PlayStation, because I did yesterday, I ended up buying the physical copy of 007 First Light
Oh, nice.
for the PlayStation 5. So that is the next game on my docket. I've been very excited to play this. I've heard it's a lot. Gameplay's like Uncharted, kind of, but it's got its own James Bond feel to it. So I'm very excited to try this out because I feel like this is another game. Uh, Not really nostalgia for me. Well, okay, but it would feel a little bit nostalgic for me because I like the Uncharted game, so I want to play something kind of familiar. But past
Mhm.
that, the rest I might start Near Automata. That one I've just been kind of back and forth on. I haven't really committed fully to that yet, but I've got a bunch of other games that I would like to check out. So I'm feeling more comfortable with my backlog now, and I think I can play a lot of really great games before the end of the year.
Mhm.
Um, and the last gaming thing I wanted to mention is I have been watching a lot of Mecha Chameleon videos, and
Yes.
that's been funny. And then I tried out Mecha Chameleon for like 30 minutes, and I'm like, wow, this is boring. I want to play solo. I think this is boring, but I think with the right group of friends, it could also be fun.
Yes, and I'm still open to doing that at some point. We just need to get a few other people on board too, so we can
Sure.
get the most out of it.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's definitely been really funny to watch. So in terms of like
Mhm.
stuff I've been watching on YouTube, that's been really fun.
Mhm.
But that's everything I have. Did you have anything finals
Um,
you want to talk about?
yeah, I was just gonna briefly mention I picked up 2 games yesterday on the Switch because they were super, super cheap. Um, First one was Mother Russia Bleeds,
Ah,
which
that's
is
a Devolver game, isn't it?
yes, it is a Devolver
Look
game.
at that.
It
I
came
know
out in
ball.
2016 and it's like a yeah, it came out 2016 and it's like a brutal brawler, side scroll beat 'em up. That very much at the time when it first came out made me think of Hotline Miami because of its kind of like techno-y soundtrack and just like gore and beating people's faces in and stuff like that.
Sure.
Which I have started and I've only put like just a little bit in, like so far. But I've enjoyed what I've tried of it so far. And the other one, finally, I picked up Hyper Light Drifter.
Yippee!
This is the cheapest I had ever seen it in my life. $4. I was like, finally. Me holding out for years finally paid off. I saved like $8.
It's great. It's a great game.
Yes, I don't know if I'll be starting that this month. If
hmm
the stars align, I probably will, but I definitely will be checking that out sometime this year.
It's a
I
fun game. Actually am looking at my where I ranked it. So when I put it in 2022, I actually ranked it ninth out of my top 15. So there's that.
hmm,
I enjoyed it quite a lot. I also it's pretty short. Well, not pretty short. I beat it in 2 days. I'll admit,
mhm,
2 3 days. So do with that
mhm.
what you will. But I think you're gonna enjoy it, and I would like to
Yes,
see what you
it's
think about
one
it.
that is like people still talk about to this day and was like pretty like extremely well loved when it came out. So I've had my eyes on it since it came out in like what 2016 probably. Hyper Light Drifter came out
Yes,
in
2016.
2016. So oh my gosh,
It's
actually
been
March
it's
2016.
been
I was
all
about
it's
to say
been
has
10
it been 10
years. It
years
has been 10
exactly? But
years.
no, it came out March, but
Look
it
at
has been
that.
10 years. Um but yeah, finally we'll get around to checking that out. And then the last thing I will mention is that I'm looking to before the end of this summer really just pop into some games I've played before and really kind of just like remind myself of some things. Like some of my favorite games I haven't checked out in a bit, and I'm just like I don't need to beat them, but I just popping them open and just checking them out again for a sec. Because I just want to be a bit more casual with some of that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and the first thing I'm gonna do, maybe even today, maybe even right after this, is pop in, um, Mario Sunshine.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it's just like I adore that game and I would love to just sit casually and just play that for a little bit, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Just to remind myself of why I like that game.
Yeah, I think for me, I need to remind myself that video games are supposed to be a hobby, and if it feels like a chore, you're kind of doing it wrong. That's kind of what the issue I had with Killer 7, admittedly, I had with Killer 7 was where
Yeah.
it got to the point where I'm like, this feels like a chore that I'm just procrastinating on. And
Mhm.
if that's the case, I just need to take a break and move on to something that I'm like really pumped to play. So
Yeah.
that's 007
There
for me. That's either tomorrow or Monday, again, depending on um if I have time tomorrow after church.
what kind of spurred this somewhat was I recently watched a video from this YouTuber called Matthew Matosis, who is probably one of my favorite video game commentator like reviewer guys.
Okay.
And he does every once in a while. He's a guy who only uploads like once in a blue moon, but he recently did a commentary video of him going through the arcade game Ghouls and Ghosts, which is an old Capcom game and is like notoriously difficult and whatnot. And he's like commentating over his like almost perfect playthrough of the game, and he's just giving a lot of sage advice about game design and like how we should interact with games and whatnot. And I just very much took that a lot of what he said to heart, and I'm just like, yeah. Like it just check something out. If you want to do something, just do it. It's not a obligation.
Mhm.
The art isn't an obligation sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the more sort of mindset I'm taking with that. So yeah.
I think that's fair. I just yeah, art I like that mentality of art should be fun. It should not be like a
Mhm,
obligation. There are going to
mhm.
be times when you're playing the game where like, okay, this sucks. like this is a bad level or something, but let's get through it so we can get to other good stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
past that, yeah, I want to try to enjoy video games more, as this should be fun. This should not be rushed. This should not be played just so you say you can play it. You play whatever you want. You enjoy whatever you want. That's kind of, so I
Mm-hmm.
think overall, I'm looking at my statistics. Overall, July was a better month for me gaming wise than June.
Mm-hmm.
June, I think it was part of dealing with, moving, still trying to get settled in. But now that I kind of got settled in, because I only played 2 games in June and I only clocked in 12 hours. But July, I've it's logged at 18 hours, but it also doesn't include the time I put into Fortnite. Does not include the time I put into Killer 7. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more than that. So like, okay, if we just play stuff I want to play, play stuff that interests me, play stuff that doesn't feel like a waste of time, I think we're good. And
Yeah.
that's the mentality I just got to keep going forward. But yeah, any last final thoughts before we wrap up this uh nearly, well, it's actually only an hour 45-minute recording so far, but any
Yeah.
final thoughts you have?
Final thoughts? No, not really. Games are cool sometimes.
Games
I
are
like
pretty cool.
games.
Trying to think like what movies come out in August that I might be interested in watching. There is,
Um,
I think, what's it called? The End of Oak Street is kind of interesting to me.
yeah, that one is kind of. It's a kind of like on paper it's a silly concept, but I think it can definitely work. Um,
I think that's the only one that immediately interests me out of the ones I've seen. It looks like Terminator 2 might be returning to theaters for a limited time. So if
oh
if
right,
if I
yeah.
could watch that in theaters, I would definitely check that out.
I would be down for that too if that is yeah, that
Hmm.
yeah, I would love to see that in theaters.
But
I need to see what's they're playing at the State Theater. I know they're
uh,
showing the Goofy movie, and I would
oh
like to go
sure,
see that, but I've also seen it before, so I don't need to go see it. But I enjoyed that movie enough.
fair enough.
I'm
Oh yeah, there's
trying.
also this buddy movie, that buddy horror movie that from the people.
Buddy
Too Many
horror.
Cooks, I think.
Buddy
I don't know,
horror.
but that
Oh wait,
one's
here it
interest.
is.
That one comes at the end of the month. So that one's got some
Oh
interest.
right. Oh, I didn't know this was from the Too Many Cooks people.
I think so,
Or
but
at least one of the people, Casper Kelly. I'll just yeah, I'll look this
I've
up.
got some interest in it. So I think, and also looking at my work schedule, I am working evenings pretty much the next 2 weeks, and then I have a morning
Mhm.
shift. Well, 2 morning shifts eventually. So I should be able to actually clock in a decent amount of playtime in the next few weeks. So I'm really excited for all of that. So August could be a pretty good month for me gaming wise. So
Mhm.
we'll report back in about a month. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add, Quinn?
No,
Awesome.
I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of Quinn Squared. We'll be back in about a month. Thank you all so much for
Well,
again for supporting the channel, and have a good rest of your day.
bye.